I know.
Okay. Welcome back to episode number 4 of the From the Fabricator podcast. I am Max Pearlstein. Thank you so much for coming back again. Thank you for downloading this and checking it out, whether it's online on a podcast audio-wise or if you're watching me right now on YouTube. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the support. Great show ahead. Wonderful guests, and we will get to them momentarily. But I wanted to kind of jump into my top of the podcast commentary. And really the big thing is the deals going on in the industry right now. These were the kind of expected shoes to drop. We had talked briefly last month about what was going on with Consolidated Glass Holdings. And so things have fleshed out a little bit. FHC, Glassworks, Arcadia, and O3 have all kind of jumped into the fray to take some parts and pieces out of that organization. All very interesting moves and all very good moves, quite frankly, for the companies involved. Things moving in the right direction for those folks. It's sad that there are some job losses for sure. Hopefully, with the need for labor that we have in this industry, especially project management, inside sales, plants, everything, everybody can get absorbed and find some work. I really hope that happens. It should, given where we're at in this world at this point. But the companies making these deals, real smart moves. FHC was a guest on this podcast a few months back. Sharp guys, and they jumped in and now are in architectural aluminum, picking up the architectural aluminum line from Columbia. Smart. O3 out of Canada, I believe. They've got some unbelievably good people. They made a great deal to get Solar Steel, a hungry company with a workforce that is, I give them a heck of a lot of credit. Those folks worked and they said, hey, we are not going down. And now they have landed with a good company with O3. So I'm excited for those folks there. Now, I think the thing to watch is what happens next. Does something happen with Global and Delubac, the last two companies remaining from the old original Consolidated Glass Holdings? Do they get sold off? Do they get sold off together, separate? It remains to be seen. I would assume they get sold off together, but anything's possible. So we'll be watching that. We're also watching the forecasting, and we've had a nice little run. The ABI was up last month. The DMI was up last month. So both showing some very positive signs, and that's exciting, obviously, for what we're trying to do. You'll hear later in this podcast, I've been saying we've got a valley this year. One of my guests, Jim Stathopoulos from Ajay Glass, says, he's got a good year coming up. He's worried about 2022. And he had really interesting insight on that. And it is something that, there's a lot of talk out there about inflation. Some new policies could be causing some issues. So, this adventure never ends. It really seems to be like we are on a roller coaster here, and we got to hold on tight. But I think we're headed in the right direction, though. I'm feeling pretty confident of that. Again, today and on this podcast, I'm not going to talk a ton here because I've got great guests who are really going to fill the hole. Mary Avery from Tubelight, absolutely fantastic. Proof of what a smart company can do with a smart person and letting them just go learn our industry and take it to a new level. Fantastic. Jim, who I mentioned before, him and his family have done such an amazing job with AJ Glass, and Jim personally with his volunteering in this industry and getting out there and stepping up for this industry. Very, very impressive. And then to end it, I've got who I'm calling the young ones, James Wright and Jeremy Hoy of Virginia Glass Products and Virginia Mirror Company. Really good, young, smart, sharp guys. We need more of those and get them interested in the industry. Again, fun to have them and talk about what they've got going on. And at the end of the show, more documentaries, folks. I'm like on a documentary kick. We've got 3 more that you got to check out, and feel free to send them my way. But hey, enough of me. This show really is about getting into some of these wonderful guests, and we've got some good ones today. So let's get it started. Mary Avery, Tubelight, gets us kicked off now. Okay, now to start things off on podcast number 4, Mary Avery, Vice President of Marketing at Tubelight. You can find them on the web, www.tubelightinc, all one word.com. And Mary is one of the people that I have had a huge admiration of in this industry. Fantastic talent, and I know you got to sit there and listen to me tell you how great you are. But big fan and thrilled that you would come on and do this podcast with me. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Excited to do it.
Awesome. So I know a little bit about you. I did a tiny bit of research, not a lot, because I kind of wanted to hear it from you. I see you went to Michigan State, so you're a Spartan, right? And
I'm a huge Spartan fan. Yes,
okay, so
true and
go
true. I
green, go
bleed
white. I like
green.
that.
Yep.
Okay. So, but talk about your path. You went to MSU, and then you've been at Tubelight for a while. So give the audience a little bit of background where you came from.
Yeah. So I actually when I went to Michigan State, I actually aspired to be an accountant. So I actually went 3 years in that path. So I really enjoy the financial part of the marketing role as well, which
Gotcha.
is kind of unusual. It's more promotional stuff. But when I left Michigan State, I worked for one of the main utility companies in Michigan,
Okay.
and through their customer service department, held many roles. I worked there for almost 18 years, so
Wow.
long journey with them. When I left, the last couple years of working at the utility, I was in charge of the training team.
Okay.
So that really lit my passion for processes and understanding the importance of process adherence and how that helps with consistency and quality and all those kind of things. So um, decided for many reasons that it was my time to move on from the utility, and just on a whim applied for the job at Tubelight. And Steve Green
Yeah.
was my hiring manager at that point. He was in charge of the sales and marketing team, but I was hired in as the client service manager, so
Okay.
over the estimating and the order entry teams
But with no
at
experience
Tubelite.
at this point, you don't know metal
No,
from anything.
no, didn't know what an extrusion or a billet or anything,
Ah.
so thank goodness for Steve, right? He
Yeah.
he took it upon himself to say, she has the process background and knows how to do that thing, and that's, at that point in time, is what they were really looking for. So and Steve, as well as many others at Tubelite, really helped me understand the industry, understand what Tubelite was all about. But also with that, they gave me the leeway to really challenge some of that understanding that they had.
I like it.
And it's not, this is the way we've always done it, but let's open that up and look at some things a little bit. And that I really appreciated that, that they had the mindset to allow me to challenge some of those things. And I think that really helped um, build some strength at Tubelite, and our growth over the last, we've had a really good growth trajectory
Yeah.
over the last 10 years. So um, the other thing that really helped me with the industry is I tend to believe I try to be a good listener, right?
Hmm.
So meeting the customers, listening to what their needs are and things like that, and then attempting to see how we can fulfill those, better than any of our competitors would
Right.
do. So I really think that has been a key to our success as well. So um, when I started, like I said, I started in the customer service manager role at Tubelite. Um, when the market dipped, unfortunately, we're all aware of that. When the
Right.
market dipped, they separated out the sales and marketing
Right.
functions, right?
Right.
Steve kept the sales, and they said, and we decided that I was going to take on the marketing role. We needed
Okay.
more emphasis um, on the pricing and on the promotion and all those things that go along with the marketing role. So that's when I took that on. and again, with the leeway, we've been able to build up the marketing team and really focus in on some of those key areas. One of the other really unusual things I think that happened at Tubelite and very beneficial to me, probably didn't feel like it at the time, but there were some gaps that needed to be filled along the way. And I felt like a little bit like a fixer at that point, right? So
Sure.
we had just a couple examples. We had expanded our facility. We opened up the facility in Dallas, and our vice president of operations was in charge of the project at that point, and ended up retiring about halfway through the project. And so then they said, Mary, can you lead this project?
Huh.
So if you think about it, my background and
Right.
things like that, but it was more of, okay, what do we need to get done, and project management and that type of thing. Another really good benefit opportunity was when I filled the gap for the engineering manager. So um, covered the engineering group along with marketing for a couple years,
Right.
right?
Right.
So that was very new to me. With we really focused in on our product development processes, and I leaned on people that knew what they were doing, and just helped them actually get the documentation down and the structure down, and again, that process adherence thing. But and then luckily we were able to land Tim Folks, who's great vice president of engineering at this point. But
Right.
those type of opportunities really helped me, learn Tubelite, learn the industry. It was great.
And I find it fascinating, and I know there's more of your story to go, but I wanted to jump in. I find it fascinating that one, I thought you went right from MSU to Tubelight.
Oh,
So I had no idea there was a gap there, that you had something
yeah,
else,
long gap. I'm
a
old.
long gap, which you don't age, so that's good. I keep finding people in this industry that don't age. Every show I have another one. But that's first and foremost. Is I thought that you literally went from MSU to Tubelight. So
Oh,
I was not
yeah,
aware that you had another career. But what's really interesting was that that Steve Green and the team there recognized in you had a skill set. They just needed to put you in the right position to succeed, to learn the industry, to learn the products. And
yep,
you did that. And I liked what you were saying about that's the way we've always done it, because that's a problem we have a lot of times in this
it is.
industry. And you were able to work through those cultural issues. But I love the fact that again, you were able to bring a skill set in that was solid and just learn the industry. Because I think we sometimes struggle with hiring people if they don't know glass, or they don't know construction, or they don't know metal, and they look past the skill set, like a project management skill set that you had, or an accounting background, things you liked,
Right.
organization, and that's what's paying off. So yeah, I'm very impressed, and news to me. I'm learning today. This is good. So
Yeah, yeah, that leap of faith, that trust factor is huge, and like you said, Max, it's hugely common. Not only in our industry, but in hiring
right.
practices. That's hugely common. If you don't have the background, and you might be missing out on some really really key individuals.
No
So,
doubt. And so now you've been climbing, where you left off. You've been climbing that ladder at Tubelight, which is
right,
really interesting. And I think the other aspect of it is that every step along the way, you're learning something different. So,
right.
so I again, by the time you've now reached this role of vice president of marketing, you've worn so many hats that has to make it
Yeah,
so much more
yeah.
advantageous for you now leading, that whole organization in the area that you're at.
Yeah, no, it's been, like I said, when you're in the fire, right? Then it's kind of a struggle, right?
Right.
But the benefit on the other side is so great, So now when we have different projects, and it talks about um even for instance, our quality department, cost of poor quality and things. I've been very intricate in those processes, and understanding the um, processes up in Reed City and the presses, and all of those kind of things.
Right.
So if we're in different projects and people start talking about different facets of whether it's, what's the process of extrusion, or what's the process going through order entry in our business system. I pretty much understand. Not that I can do
Right.
any one of those, but I definitely understand a lot of the intricacies of those
I
processes.
love it.
And what's nice is because now I've been with Tubelite over 14 years, and we have a lot of new people, on board. Even our leadership team is fairly new.
Right.
I can really help people connect some of those dots. Here's who you need to speak to on this and why, and those type of things. So it's definitely beneficial.
That's huge. That's huge, and very, very impressive. And that again, that's when I talk about my admiration for you, it's I've seen you through the years, and mostly in that kind of marketing role, but you're always so well put together. And now I know why. I mean, you've lived it. You've in those
Right.
14 years
Yep.
have lived it, and so very impressive. So I got to ask you, what's the thing that you're most proud of in these 14 years at Tubelight? What's the thing that you're like, this is it, I love it.
Yeah, you know what I really like, again, and I'm a people person, right?
Yeah.
That's why we're in these roles, right? And that's why I switched from accounting to marketing because I'm a people person.
Yes.
So anyway, the connection with the customers. I really, again, I think the key, not probably the main key, but the key to our success at Tubelite has been really listening, partnering with our customers, listening to what they're saying, really believing the needs, and then trying to figure that out. So I think our growth over, the year over year consecutive growth, I it's almost unprecedented in the industry.
Nice.
I mean,
Nice.
it's such a big story for the industry. And when I started, we're quadruple where we were when I started, the company. And like I said, I love the challenge of listening, finding a situation with their customers, and then solving it for them. And just they're elated, when that happens.
No
So
doubt, no doubt, and I think that and this is something my brother had really reinforced into me when I started in the business all those years ago, is that there's nothing like the relationships in the glass and glazing and metal industries like there is in others. It's just
yeah,
it's so relationship based, and that's why I think when you do come through for somebody, everything is so genuine in this world. I mean, people do appreciate it.
yeah.
You develop a friendship or a tighter bond than you would if you were doing their taxes once a year.
Yeah, and we're talking some big situations and stuff. Maybe it's I'll use our freight program, right? We have
Mhm.
damage free guarantee freight program. So Tubelite, hearing the concern from the customer, and this actually started prior to my starting at Tubelite, but them, listening to the customer, and knowing the issues with the freight damage and all of that kind of stuff. And the program itself having, being on a schedule, and what that means to some smaller or mid-sized companies, so that they might pull in, field employees for this little block of time, because they know, okay, the Tubelite truck's coming here, and it,
Right.
and it does. This is when it's coming, and they can hold that as true. Things like that, I think, are so important for customers.
Yeah, no, the tactics that you and the team have put together there have been, industry leading, smart. Again, another reason I wanted to have you on here to pay some, respect to that. And again, if you're just jumping into the middle of this podcast, I'm with Mary Avery, VP of Marketing at Tubelight, and their website is tubelightinc.com. And I have to ask this. This was not on my outline to you. I grew up calling it Tubelite. I was told it's Tubelite. You've pronounced it Tubelite. So settle it once and for all.
Yeah, it's two syllables. How's that? It's tube light, but yeah,
it's a
it
Michigan thing
depends.
though,
It probably is, right?
because
Yeah.
when I moved to Michigan,
Yep.
back in the old Pearlstein distributing days, we worked with Tubelite or Tubelite,
Yep.
and so on. But I got up here, and people in Michigan do call it Tubelite, and that's
Yep. Yep.
I'm used to
There.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Midwestern type of flair to that. Yes.
that
Yep.
works. That works. Okay, I had to ask that. I had to ask that. So the other thing, one of the things I really like to do on this podcast is talk about projects. People really like to see
Yep.
the sort of projects that are going on. And I've had a project of yours on my blog as a project of the week in the past, but you've brought a couple you that I'm going to put pictures on the screen for those of you
Sure.
watching on YouTube. But tell me about a couple of the projects you're proud of.
Yeah, so a couple recent ones. I mean, there's so many projects to choose from, right? But even projects that happened in 2020, which
Mhm.
was a tough year as we all know.
Right.
Um, we had a couple that I'd like to talk about were focused on energy.
Okay.
Net zero type of
Huge.
buildings and things like that. That's such a hot topic concern, across the country and across the globe, actually. So the first one is a fire station number 14 in Salt Lake City. Um, um, they are located in a valley between some mountains, right? So if you can envision what it does in the valley, just their location of the fire station. Actually, it ends up the valley actually causes like a cap or a cover that keeps the cold weather and the pollution
Oh,
down in that area. They're on
okay.
the west side of Salt Lake City, and so you take that issue in that location along with Salt Lake City as a plan to be net zero electrical by the year 2030, right?
Gotcha.
So you're on two ends of the spectrum there. And so what they did is they built this new fire station, and with our customer Mahler Up Glass, um, the Blaylock Partners and consultant TCA Architecture did this design. So they wanted to keep a lot of daylighting in
Right.
for the physical and mental health of the firefighters in the location and all that goes with that. So what they did is they used our triple glazed 400 TU curtain wall. So triple glazed curtain wall. We're able to actually get, I mean, some really exceptional U values in CRF. So the U value, unbelievable U value, but again, triple glazed and ultra thermal curtain wall, 0.21 U
Whoa.
factor,
Yeah.
right? And then condensation resistance of 84.
Wow.
So just huge performance there. And again, so you have the combination of the high performance with the daylighting, for the that brings in the light and the physical and mental health of those buildings all the time, day and night. So,
So
all
fire fire
right.
fire station number 14 out of Salt Lake City was the first one, and now what do we have?
Yep, yep. The other one is Vaisala.
Okay.
It's a Vaisala is a Finnish company, right? And they
Hmm.
deal with weather, environmental measurements, and things like that. That one's located out of Louisville, Colorado, not
Oh,
Kentucky, Colorado,
okay.
right? So yeah, our customer Colorado Window Systems out
Hmm.
of Denver actually did that one. We partnered and we've partnered with FCI, the glazing contract for many years. So
Hmm.
really good partnership between the customer and the GC.
Nice.
Um, but if you can think about the contrast there, so you have this Finnish Scandinavian type of minimalistic design,
Right.
right, on the building, along with this high performance need for this net zero ready type of building as well. So again, bringing in a lot of daylight and things like that. What they used on that one again was a thermal curtain wall, but our 400T, which is thermally broken.
Okay.
Um, and then again, the storefront and interior framing on that one as well.
Nice.
So we reached really good U factors and CRFs on those 2.32 you factor on that one. I know it's just, it's, just exceptional. And then, up to 80 CRF as
Right.
well. So yeah, just really good, performance and beautiful, when you show the photos, just beautiful photos on those.
No doubt, no doubt, and people will be able to see those, and so I think you and I are probably on the same page. Net zero is a heck of a trend right now, don't you think?
It is. Yeah, it is. It's and it's coming at people from, multiple facets,
Right,
right? So one, for the building owners, there's such a big cost savings, right? Um obviously you have to the way the cost up front versus the cost over many, many years, but these buildings are the fire station, the design on that fire station is for 50 plus years, right? It's
right,
supposed to last for basically forever, right?
right.
So I mean the payoff's going to be huge for many, many years.
Yeah, and I hope we can keep moving towards the because I think us as an industry, we're really in a good place for net zero with everything that we have to offer.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yep.
no,
And does and new product designs are the way that, when I started at Tubelite 14 years ago, there was a certain assumption of a shelf life of a new product, right?
right,
Right. So you introduce a storefront curtain wall, what have you, and it might not have to be updated for 5, 10 years,
yeah,
right? Or whatever, multiple years
right,
span. Now you introduce it and you're looking, okay, what's the next facet of design on that same thing that I just launched?
yes.
Things are going that quickly at this point.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's
Yep.
I think that keeps everybody on their toes. So before I let you go, how has 2021 been? You and I spoke briefly about 2020, and I'm glad that's over. Even though it was probably a
Yeah.
decent year, but for business wise, but personally, I think we're all good with 2021. How has 2021 been so far, and how's things looking for you and the Tubelite team going forward here?
2021, we're still seeing, it's regionally, I would say, we're still seeing some project delays and
Okay,
things like that, but definitely feeling and seeing the market open up more,
good.
right?
Mhm.
Even at this point in time, and you could almost see that earlier, January, February time period. You could feel things starting to open up a little bit. So we're really excited about 2021. We have some really good things going on, besides the normal backlog and projects that we, are aware of with our customers and things like that. I'll put a shout out to our national accounts team, that's led by Kent Bowman, and he's done some awesome work over the past 2, 3 years, and really that success is coming to fruition at this point now. So I'll kind of match it up. We just went through we had the Masters,
Right.
tournament on this last weekend and things like that. So some of the things would be like Arco Murray. We're partnering with them on Top Golf,
Okay.
locations and,
Sure.
and things like that. So McDonald's, Wendy's, Arby's, Dunkin' Brands, there's just a whole list of those type of brands that we're doing. And
Sure.
and if you can imagine when you're multiple locations and you're it's such a good marriage, right? So you have the partnership that Kent and his team and Tubelite, in general, really partner well with these brands, and what it does is typically we're not doing the installation, right? So we're bringing this business again to our
Yeah.
customers on a silver platter, and we're saying, hey, we've done this
Yeah.
back work for you, and we're in this contract, and here are these projects, and here's when they're going to bid, and it's just like I said, it's a great marriage between the two. So that success, like I said, that all that hard work that Kent and his team have been doing for years, that's really coming up. we have some new product that we're on the edge of
Okay.
introducing over the next couple of months. So that's going to be really beneficial.
Great. Great.
One thing I want to mention, we did say how tough 2020 was. We did talk about it a lot, and
Yeah.
I know people don't want to talk about that a lot, but couple key things besides, put the whole COVID thing aside. We had our our 75th Tubelite 75th anniversary was in 2020.
Oh, wow.
It's like,
Wow.
no.
Wow.
So all these big, elaborate plans that we had and
Yeah.
different things like that, we had to kind of push aside. So we are celebrating that this year. We're going to actually have 75 plus one,
I like it.
so we can't let that go. So we do have some things planned for that. And in 2020, we also Tubelite integrated with our Canadian sister company, Illumicor.
Okay.
So if you
Okay.
think, okay, we have this all this COVID stuff going on, here's an integration for you. And so we did do we did a lot of work, and there's still more work to happen,
Yeah.
on the integration, but some really good best shared practices and opportunities to, for both companies there. So really good things. I think this is a year. I think we're just gonna kill it. It's just
Yeah.
gonna be great.
I have no doubts, especially with your skill set, and then you talk about people like Kent and the work he's doing and his team and the management there. Everybody's doing it, and the Illumicor
Yeah.
situation is exciting. And obviously, me being somebody with a marketing background, my heart breaks when you talk about that was our anniversary, 75th anniversary
Yeah,
year,
I
because
know.
you, you
Mine
know
did
you
too.
you planned for that for years.
Yep.
That's a milestone, and yet
Yep.
last year was just such a wash when it came
Yep.
to you weren't going to get it together in person. I mean, a year ago, right now in April of 2020, I still had hope that we would be together for Glass Build. I never in my wildest dreams thought that this thing would keep going and going and going.
Right.
And that was, seeing that fall and go online was heartbreaking to me. And I can only imagine for you and the team there, you worked on that 75th anniversary. I'm so glad you're going to get to do 75 plus one this year,
Right.
and get to enjoy it. But boy, that had to be rough. Had to be
It
rough.
was it was rough, and we won't be able to do it to the scale that we wanted to last year either,
Right.
but we're definitely going to do some things.
Good.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's such a milestone. You can't just let it,
No,
go and yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no, not at all. Well, again, I know how swamped you are. I'm thrilled that you gave me this patch of time to get to know you a little bit better. I learned a bunch of stuff, and it
Great.
also cemented my very, very, very high opinion of you. So there's no doubt. Mary Avery, Vice President of Marketing from Tubelight. You can find them at www.tubelightinc.com. And I assume we'll see you. When we get back together, we'll see you at least at Glassville.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Yep.
look forward to seeing you there. But thank you for all you do for the industry. And you're setting a tremendous example as somebody that came in after 18 years of experience somewhere else and has absolutely been incredible for our world. So props to you and everybody at Tubelight on that one. That's impressive.
Thank you so much, Max. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. We'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, now time for another interview, and thrilled to have Jim Stathopoulos. Did I pronounce that correctly? I've known you for all these years. Did I do it, or am I close?
You're close enough.
Dang it. I don't want to attempt your given first name, because
Yeah, Demetrius is easy.
Demetrius. Okay, so I
Yeah.
probably would have screwed that up too. But anyway,
Yeah.
for somebody I've known you for all these years, I'm already
I-
starting off on a bad start. But I have known you as Jim from AJ.
That's
And that's how I kind of got to know Jim and his brothers and his family at AJ Glass up in New York. You can find them online at ajglass.com, and Jim is the CEO at AJ. He's also on the board of directors at the National Glass Association and also with the NACC and some other organizations, very active in our industry. So we're going to cover a lot of that today. But before we get into it, a little bit about your past and your path to this point, because you've had an interesting approach to this. You have some different experience levels than a lot of your peers.
yeah. I mean, obviously went to school and everything else in Clarkson, and then took a job down in DC with the State Highway Administration fresh out of school, and then I came back about 2 years after going down there with my dad, but I didn't come to work right away at AJ Glass. I went to work for. I figured I was going to be an engineer, in private sector or public sector, and then I got the calling with my dad. He sort of was wanting me to come back. I was sort of tired, and some stuff had gone on that I said, you know what, maybe it's time to come back and go to work with dad. And I came to work here in 1990 full time, and then I never looked back. And then my one brother Dean was already here. My brother Steve came like about 2 years later, and we've slowly and steadily learned the business through my father. And in the same time, we've grown it too. So it was a different path. Some people will get sent out in the field. I did that in summers in college. I would come here after school in high school, in the summers in college, just like you did probably, Max. I mean, growing up in your industry too with your dad. So that's where we have a very similar background, probably, I'm guessing.
Sure, sure. We work with our brothers, and my brother
Yeah.
was the one who always wanted to be in the glass business. I didn't. So I took a little bit of a different path. He from, I think, when he was 6 years old, he would draw pictures of guys putting glass in buildings, glass jobbers. So that was a little different, but I took a little bit of a different path. But that is interesting. We both work with our brothers, and we both, worked with our fathers, and they had huge influences on our lives. And your dad was an incredible human who made such a massive effect on our industry. And I feel like we've got to talk about him and what he had done in his life and the legacy that he's left behind with you guys.
Yeah, I'm getting chills thinking about it because this coming Sunday is the 1 year anniversary. Well, the 17th is the 1 year anniversary of his passing, and it was a huge loss for my brothers and I. He had been out of the business now for a while, for a couple of years, several years. He had retired, but he was here every day. And even when he got his illness, he still was here. When he could get here, he would come in here, even with his walker, every single day to come into his office. And he just felt like he was at home when he
Yeah.
was here. And he taught us so many things that you would never expect with a guy with his background, coming here from Greece, didn't know the language, just had a very strong, very good work ethic and worked really hard. But his education was limited because of World War II. So he had to quit school at the age of 10. And he learned from the ground up. And the stuff he taught us was just amazing. We apply stuff he teaches us every single day. I apply something he told me every single day. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about him or apply something he taught us.
It's a
It's
beautiful
incredible.
thing. And he
Yeah.
did everything from the bottom up too. I mean, nothing was ever handed to your dad ever. And he earned it all. And then look what he helped build, and then you and your brothers, taking it to the next level.
Yeah, he took it from basically a small window repair shop that did some, once in a while did some storefronts, did walk-in, residential windows, would do mirrors and auto glass, stuff that we don't do anymore. We do
Right.
strictly commercial glazing. And he took it from there and grew it into, a nationally ranked
Hmm.
contractor in the glass and glazing industry. And then my brothers and I have taken it to the next level, and at least tried to anyways. And we think we've done a pretty good job of it. So it's been, we've been pretty successful at it, and we want to continue his legacy, because, the statistics are that second generation families, it's like 50 or 60% of them fail in the second
Wow.
generation. It's even higher for a third. So that's one of the things that's always in the back of my head is I don't want to be part of that statistic. I don't
No,
want to be to fail.
you
So
won't, and I know you won't, because right now you've continued, you and your brothers and the team there have continued to grow, AJ, and talk about
yeah.
some of the things that you've gotten into. I mean, obviously you're one of the leading unitizers in the country, one of the leading glazing contractors, but what's going on with your growth there, and the one thing I know, and we're going to talk about a project that you're doing, you're unafraid to take on something sophisticated, that's for sure.
No, we've grown the business in addition to doing the unitizing, which we probably started that. I would say we were 15 years ago, maybe we
Wow.
did that. And it was still fairly in its infancy stage compared to what it is now. But we also started getting into, my father actually got into fabrication of ACM,
Hmm.
composite panels.
Right.
And he figured out that composite was going to be a thing going forward, and he learned how to do the fabrication. He bought one of the first colonial saws, one of those saws that can do the blade with the composite. He had it. Oh my God, we had it back when we were in the city of Rochester still. That was God, it had to be 20 plus years ago. He had
Incredible.
that saw. And so we started getting into the composite fabrication. We got into a lot of our own fabrication now where we've tried to vertically integrate everything we do. So we try to do all of our own steel in-house. We try to do all of our own panels in-house, our brake metal, all the fabrication for curtain wall, storefront, all that. And we've gotten into a lot of insulated metal panels. And, basically the exterior of the building, other than masonry, we'll tackle. And like you said, we like the stuff that's a little more complicated. Obviously, the higher the risk, the higher the reward, but the risk is significant at times. So you try and balance those things.
No doubt, no doubt. And so, well, talking about the projects, the one you're going to show today is National Gallery of the Arts in Washington D.C. And for those of you who are going to watch this on YouTube, you'll see the pictures. I'll be putting them up. But Jim, take us through. This is not your everyday job. This is
No,
not only is it a tough job, but it's in a high profile area. When I asked you, where it's at in DC, you said it's there right in the middle of everything. So this is one that
right.
this isn't hidden in a subdivision in Poughkeepsie. I mean,
No.
this is high level stuff here.
Well, we did a project for them about 6 years ago, and we competed against a couple other guys who really, it was sort of too small for them, but it was custom unitized, blast resistant curtain wall. At that time, this is like in 2012, there was jumbo insulated glass units in top and blast resistant glass. So it was 7 foot by 14 foot tall pieces of glass. And we have a supplier that we work with a lot, MK Architectural Metals. I'm sure some people who watch this know who they are. I consider them to be one of the best, if not the best in the country. And they brought us in to work with them on that project, and it was a successful one for us because and like you said, it was very high profile, very, very custom. Had to be, designed to be thermally efficient because the original design was not thermally efficient. It had steel bars sticking on it. It was condensated. So on top of that, throw in the blast resistance, throw in the big jumbo units, because at that time jumbos weren't prevalent in 2012. We had a choice of 2 suppliers in the whole of North America.
Right.
So it was interesting, it was challenging, but it was successful for us. So fast forward to about a year and a half ago, and the same, the Gallery of Art team is there. They've gone to replace the skylight on top of the East Gallery building. And same thing, it was an IMP design building. So they redid all the facade. When we were doing the curtain wall, they redid all the limestone facade. So now they're the next phase, which is to replace the skylight that's leaking. It's got a bunch of issues thermally with condensation, all that stuff. So we're putting in a blast resistant, thermally broken skylight on top of this building that's literally about 200 to 300 feet off the floor when you look at it from the ground. And we're doing this without having the gallery did not want a tower crane on this building. So we're doing it without the use of a tower crane. We're using spiders up on top of a big gantry on top of the skylight. It's a crazy, crazy job.
Wow. And so far so good though. Everything's going well on this.
Yeah, we've just started. There've been some delays, but we're just getting started now, and things are progressing. We got through the mock-up, and your viewers will see that I sent you some photos of the before from the ground, and the mock-up we did down at Saks Lab in Miami, and the mock-up took us about 3 months. So it was complicated. So it basically was a miniature version of the skylight. So when your viewers see that, you'll see what we're talking about. But we got through that, everything tested out perfectly, and now we're in the phase. We developed a temporary protection system for the on top of the sky, and we pulled the old one out. And then you'll see on some of the photo I sent you to the underneath where they built almost like a bathtub. Basically, they're hanging it off of the bottom of the steel structure that supports the skylight, and it's like a completely waterproof bathtub, so that no water or anything will get into the skylight or the gallery down below, which houses billions of dollars of art.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool project, but like I said, it's fraught with. It's scary too. So we're hoping it's going to go. I'm knocking on wood as we're talking. So we're hoping it's going to go well. But so far, so good.
It's going to, and when it's done, I'll make sure to make it a project of the week on my blog so everybody can see it, because it definitely deserves that. And I'm excited. So this is good. This is good. I want to switch gears a little bit with you. With one thing that I've admired a bunch of things about you and how you've gone about things, but you're incredibly involved You're now on the board at NGA. You were one of the first people who jumped into NACC and the certification process. You're active, and yet you're running, you and your team, you're running a gigantic business there. Being involved like this, why is it so important? What would you tell people that are on the fence about getting involved and why they should get involved?
Well, I think the impetus behind me getting involved in NACC was we were growing frustrated because we were competing with other contractors at times that, or your number, well, I should say, was being compared to another contractors who may or may not have had the capabilities or the expertise that you did. And
Right.
yet you're competing against them as though they're an equal when they're clearly not. And so a bunch of us got together, the original board members. There's a couple, there's a one from Philadelphia, one of the guys from California. We got together in Chicago with the help of the Finishing Contracts Association and said, how do we come up with something that can level the playing field, at least that we think can level the playing field for owners and contractors and architects, and also for contractors.
Mhm.
And the idea was to put together this certification process that checked your safety, checked your quality control, checked your project management, checked your financials, checked everything about your company. Sort of like an ISO, but not the same, because that's
Right.
really not, but it's sort of like a miniature ISO of your whole organization. And out of that came the NACC, and obviously now we have the AGMT, which is also helping produce glazers who go through the same type of process, the
Right.
certification process. So, and the thinking was, well, can we do this, and how is it going to take shape? So we came up with some protocols with the help of the guys at AMS, John Ken
Mhm.
and Jeff Dalba and his crew,
Yep.
and we developed this process. It was very interactive with all the guys in the room, and it was great to sit there in the meetings and come up with all these processes and what are you going to check, bonding and this and your financials and all that. But you have to submit your financial statements. No, you can get a letter from your accountant or whatever.
Right.
And so we came up with this process, and it's taken off, and
Yeah.
it's been great to see it take off because people are starting to embrace it. I mean, you know yourself down in Philadelphia, there's probably 6 or 7 contractors, I believe, right
Exactly.
now that are certified.
Yep.
It's in every spec in Philadelphia now.
Yeah.
One of our board members is a spec writer, Dave Stutzman from Conspectus, and Dave has gotten it with the help of Jeff and his team, gotten it into the national spec writing database. So once an area develops, so at least 3 or 4 contractors who have the certification, the goal for our organization has been to get it put in there to give it a level playing field. Is it applied all the time? Well, it takes time to build it up, but it's slowly growing, and I think we're up to 36 now, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, it seems like every week there's another announcement and
Right.
somebody else, and I think it's just going to continue to grow, and it is crucial. I mean, I think it's really, really important because everybody improves from it. The companies I've talked to who went through the process were really impressed by the process and made them better just going through the
Yes.
process. And we're not talking crummy companies. I mean, we're talking these are good companies to begin with, and they felt like there was an advantage of going through it, which I found really interesting. This wasn't a rubber stamp
Yeah.
by
No,
any sense of the imagination.
no, it's a very rigorous process, but it also takes you. One of the things we talked about when we were forming this, like, well, Joe in the shop knows how to do this. Well,
Right.
what happens if Joe's gone? What happens if Joe's sick or God forbid something else more serious happens to him? Who can do what Joe can do?
Right.
And what's the procedure that Joe follows? And this is the kind of stuff, even we were guilty of that too. I mean, even us, we had guys in our shop who knew what to do for certain things we do in the shop, but no one else knew how to do them. And they weren't written down. And if that guy was gone, how did you fix that process? Or who did that job?
Right.
So it forced us to look at ourselves internally and how we run things and how we set the protocols for how we operate, and it changed us, and in my opinion it changed us for the better, a
Yeah.
lot better.
And
So
and
and
that and that
that's the good thing about it.
and that's where I felt that's the big key was that you gained an advantage because this forced you to put in processes that maybe you were thinking about doing all along but never got to it. Now you had to, and now it made you better. And again, it's more than a piece of paper. That's the beauty of it, is what you as a company and all of these companies have gained. And I think that's going to keep growing because everybody needs efficiency now more than ever because you're limited on employees. You want to get the most out of what you have.
True. True,
So
100% true. And I was excited to see some of the announcements that have come out recently. Some big,
yeah.
big contracts that are known nationwide and very well known in our industry have bought into this, and I'm excited for where it's going in the future.
It's going to
So,
keep going, going to keep going. And then the other board you sit on, which is close to my heart, is the National Glass Association. And I'm
right.
thrilled that you're involved at the NGA level again, because what they do for the industry. You've spoken at BEC before, you've attended Glass Build. I mean, those are really important things for our industry to support and get behind, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I was very pleasantly surprised when Nicole reached out to me and asked me to become a member of the board. I didn't even realize that she knew who the heck I was, let alone, you know,
You're a
want me to be
legend,
on
Jim. You're
board.
a legend. People
I don't
know
know
who
about
you
that,
are.
Max.
Yeah.
But it's important because the only way you can improve yourself and your organization is to go learn, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you have to learn from others and learn from your mistakes, but also learn from others' mistakes and learn how you can make your whole company better. And BEC, the NGA, do that. Kathy, who's the chair of the board this year, one of her focuses is going to be education,
Hmm.
and for our industry. And I think that's very important. Our industry has to learn to get better because sometimes we have a black eye in our
Yeah.
industry. The curtain wall guys have a black eye. And whenever anything leaks in the building for us, anytime anything leaks, it's immediately our fault, you
Yeah.
know. And 9 times out of 10, you go there and it's like, well, it's really not our fault. It's this guy or that particular piece, which is coming in behind our barrier, our wet line, and then it's leaking.
Right.
So fix this and then see if it still leaks. In the meantime, well, you got to check yours. We go check ours, and of course, ours is 9 times out of 10 perfect.
Right.
But once in a while, we do make mistakes, and you learn from those things. So
Yeah.
I think it's important that our industry has to get better by learning. So
No doubt. And you're mentioning Nicole Harris, who's the head of the National Glass Association, and then Kathy Soroka from Gold Ray Glass, who's the chair this year. Tremendous, talented people, and you're a part of that, and you're going to keep making us all better. And again, I think everything that you get yourself involved with NACC or AGMT and then NGA, it's all about making all of us better. I mean, I
yeah.
think there's obviously an advantage for AJ Glass, but you don't have to do that, to make AJ Glass better. You're doing it so, the whole industry can improve too.
Well, exactly. If the whole industry improves, it just brings everybody else up, and everybody else is on a level field, a playing field, because they all have the same knowledge and learn and they understand.
Right.
And if everybody's equal, then okay, well then it just strictly it's a much better competition that way. You know what I mean? It's as opposed to like we talked about with NACC earlier, where you've got somebody who just doesn't understand it, and you're being compared to him. I don't need that.
I go through it myself. I mean, I don't have the sort of competition you have from doing the marketing and communication, but there's nothing worse than when it's not apples to apples.
Right.
And you do everything that you do, and then somebody else gets it, that isn't in the same realm. So I totally get what you're saying, and I appreciate what you do. I admire what you do. I think it's important for our
Oh,
industry.
thanks, man.
So to wrap
Thanks.
up, AJ, going forward, 2021 is here. Obviously we know you're working in DC. You've got some other work. 2021 looking good for you guys. You hanging in there? I mean, what's your feeling for the rest of the year?
No, we have a pretty robust backlog, very robust backlog.
Good.
Actually, we have a lot of work that's going to carry us certainly through 2021 into the first quarter of next year, 2022. And there still seems to be a pretty active demand for work out there. Um, I don't know what's going to happen after 2022. I think there's going to be some stuff that's going to change and going to affect the economy going forward and economics for guys like us. Um, and this administration is looking to change things and try and level things out. And there's some policies I understand. There's some policies I don't.
Right.
So there's uncertainty to me in 2022 as far as I see it. So
Okay. That's a well, it's good. It's good to know, and it's good to be prepared. And
yeah,
obviously, you guys are diverse. You don't play in the same sandbox and with the same products, and so you've prepared for almost
yeah,
anything that comes down the pike. So that's smart of you and smart of the family there.
yeah. We learned, back in 2000, I think it was 11, or after the market crash, our industry started to dip, and we started seeing people taking work for margins that probably weren't the best thing to do.
Right.
And we decided back then, way back before that, but we decided we're not going to take work for margins that are unhealthy. or we're going to be more fraught with risk than we already have.
Right.
So we'll wait and be patient, and we'll get work that is complementary to what we do and allow us to continue, staying afloat in business. And some guys got that, understood that and came out of it stronger. Some guys didn't, and unfortunately are no longer here. So, but that's I foresee the same thing happening in another about 12 to about 24 months, 24 months from now. I see that happening. It's going to start to get fraught with risk.
All right. So
And
those who diversify and those who are thinking outside the box have a better chance to survive than those who don't. And
yeah,
so that's what it comes down to. Well, I know you've got a ton going on. I don't want to spend all of your day with me on this podcast, but I'm thrilled that you did it, and thrilled that you spent some time with me. I assume I'll see you at Glassfield in the fall. I mean, as long as we all can stay healthy and keep things rolling in the right direction, we can all be together in Atlanta.
well, that's my hope. That's my plan. Being part of the board sort of, makes you want to even get involved even more so. And my plan is to be down there certainly in Atlanta with them, and hopefully next year in 2022 we have a BEC and we can do that as well. The last one I attended was in Nashville, and that was fantastic. So
And it is
yeah,
back in Nashville for 2022. So let's keep our
yeah,
fingers crossed. We
yeah,
have no
exactly,
issues, because that was
exactly.
it was a memorable time, Nashville in 2020. Who I don't think any of us ever thought that would be like the last time we'd be together for more than a year and a half. But
Right.
if you're gonna spend, I joked, if you're gonna spend one last show together before things shut down for a year and a half, that was the show to do it.
That was the one. Yeah, I had a great time there, and it was fun to be able to attend and see all the the colleagues that we have in the industry, especially because the industry was robust at that time. It was
Yeah.
everybody was starting to get busy and booming, so it was good. It was
Yeah,
nice.
makes you miss it. Makes you miss it. But we'll see each other in
Yeah.
September. So as I wrap up, please tell me how to pronounce your last name correctly.
Okay, so if you're a Greek or a Greekophile,
Right.
the correct pronunciation is actually Stathopoulos, where
Oh,
the OU is like ooh. Okay,
okay.
but most of the people who are English speakers here in this country and everywhere else, look at it and think Stathopoulos.
Right.
So like George Stephanopoulos,
Right.
it's the same as him except for a staff instead of Steph. So
Okay.
I go with whatever they want to say. If they can just pronounce all the letters, I'm happy. That's it beats being called Snuffleupagus.
That's
So
true. That's true. Okay. All right. So no matter what you want to call him, Jim from AJ Glass is what I will always
that'll
call
work.
him. And he is a great man, a great leader in our industry, tremendous family, tremendous company. Thank you so much for taking the time. You can find these guys online at ajglass.com, and we will we'll keep an eye on this National Gallery of the Arts job, make sure that the final pictures come up on my blog. Congrats on that, and keep up the great work.
Thanks, Max. I appreciate it always.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so wrapping up today's podcast, this edition's podcast is who I'm calling the quote unquote young ones. I think these guys have youth, they have energy, and they're just a blast of fresh air for our business. I've gotten to know both of them over the last couple of years. Thrilled to have Jeremy Hoy. Raise your hand, Jeremy, so we don't have any confusion on who's Jeremy, and James Wright. Raise your hand, James, because there was some confusion in the magazines. They were misnamed on there, but thrilled to have Jeremy Hoy, James Wright from Virginia Glass Products, Virginia Mirror Company on the podcast. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah,
Of course, Max.
So just a quick one. So first of all, you can find them at Virginia Glass in Virginia Glass Products, Virginia Mirror. That's www.va-glass.com is the main website. James is the corporate sales manager. Jeremy's the product manager that is pushing the laminated and mirror. And again, I like the fact, again, your youth, your energy, the way you guys have come into this industry and done some really, really good things. First and foremost, I'd like to get to know you a little bit. So I'll start with you, Jeremy. How did you find your way to the glass industry? If you want to give me a brief kind of rundown of your path to this world.
Yeah. Well, my career started in commercial construction. I did that out of college and then up to about 2009. And when construction, like many industries, was struggling, I made a career change, got into food manufacturing, and spent about 3 years in manufacturing. Really enjoyed manufacturing. got to a point where I was looking for another opportunity, and my family was ready to move. And so that was the point where I found an opportunity working for AGC Glass in their Richmond location. So my family moved to Richmond, and I got into glass, didn't know what I was getting into, and kind of haven't been able to get out ever since.
That's the story. Once you get in, you don't get out. So
Yeah.
that's so a little bit different than the food world is the glass world. That's for sure.
Yeah, very, very different. Not quite as clean in the plants, but but a lot easier in many respects. Really enjoyed it. It's been, I worked for AGC, then Tubelight acquired that business, and then went to work for Tubelight. Spent about 4 years with them. I've really enjoyed getting to know the business, the products, the people in the industry are awesome. It's probably my favorite part about this business. It's just a really cool network of people across the country, and it's small enough that you actually really get to know people. It's big enough that there's lots of opportunities.
Awesome. And now, James, I've known you for a couple years, and you're a Cincinnati guy, and somebody who knows this world pretty well in a very short period of time. Can you give the audience your path to being at Virginia Glass Products now?
Sure. So yeah, I started out in 2008 with Glass Coatings and Concepts, technical sales rep selling ceramic frit for spandrel, and did that for a number of years. I think I don't know, 8 years or so, and with the help of folks like you, Max, Cliff Monroe, Ren Bartow, those folks helped me build my network and kind of showed me the way at GANA events where I built a network. I felt that then I wanted to branch off on my own somewhat. And so I kind of represented a couple back paint manufacturers from Italy. Did that for a few years. But now I'm back with an American family-owned company. GCC was part of a fourth generation company, Glass Coatings and Concepts. When I first started, 100-year-old family business. And so to be with Virginia Glass and have a chance to be part of a 100-plus-year-old company, American made, it was just it's a dream. So
absolutely, and another legacy company, and we're going to talk about that in a second about working for a company that's been around, but for such a long time. But so both of you, I know you're not young, you're not a teeny bopper sort of thing, but you're for this industry, you guys are, you still have all your hair. You both have all your hair. That's rare. When I see you both at Glassfield, we'll see how many more people will look like me than they'll look like you at Glassfield. I guarantee you that. But you get into this industry. I like having, folks that have found it, like, Jeremy came in from the food side and stayed and it's been here ever since. James, you're on the paint side and you've now morphed over to the glass side. What excites you about this industry, and how can, how can we pass that along? I mean, because this is different. And I think you mentioned a little bit about the networking and the people, but what drives you? What turns you on about this industry?
Well, I would say, like I've got the background in construction, and I worked with all sorts of materials and finishes. And I think in the glass side of the business, more and more, we are representing some of the top end finishes that go into buildings. We're just seeing some really cool, amazing features where glass gets incorporated, not only from a visual standpoint, but the performance abilities of glass. Just some really cool things, and we've got some projects going on that are pretty exciting. We're seeing laminated glass used in structural applications. It's amazing all the different things that glass can do, and the visual upgrade that it gives to a building when you bring more of it in. So that's the part that I'm really excited about.
It's huge, James.
Yeah, pretty much the same. I mean, it's glass. It's beautiful when it's done right. Everyone gets to see it and enjoy it. Every major city has a lot of nice buildings to look at. The new products coming out are always exciting. Too bad there wasn't a glass conference in Germany or Glass Build to see some of those new products. So I'm very excited personally to September to get back to Glass Build so we can see some of the new products, see what's out there.
Yeah, it's big. That's big. And so now you're both working for Virginia Glass Products, Virginia Mirror Company. companies that have been around for more than 100 years, incredible reputation in the marketplace. That they're known for their for their quality and for their ethics and their the workmanship overall. How's it been adjusting? Because I think both of you have been there for. I think Jeremy, you've been there for a little over a year at this point.
Yeah.
And James, you're under a year. What's it been like, coming into a legacy company like this?
Well, this is the second company I've worked for that's really got that 75 or 100-year experience, and I've got a lot of admiration for small businesses and the entrepreneurs that take the risk and put all the work into doing a startup, and it's really challenging. And to go so much farther and to actually have a company that survives those initial days and then makes it all the way to the point where you can brag about over 100 years, it just speaks to the integrity of the company and what they've figured out, what they've learned, and what they've kind of built into the core of their values. And I've seen that since I've been here. It's been really good, and it's a great platform for me to build my career on and to have that kind of foundation with the team that I work with.
Yeah, absolutely, being associated with it. And James, your thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of touched on it earlier. Being part of a 100-year-old company, family owned still, that's so rare, especially in our industry.
Yep.
That I'm excited to be part of a company like that again. I know you had Kathy Soroka, who we both know well from Gold Ray, her family owned company. I mean, you just don't have that many these days in the glass industry, and to be part of it is I'm thrilled. So.
No, it's good. It's good. And it's good to have, again, the older company, younger guys. Let's keep this rolling. So Jeremy, you have an interesting gig, in my opinion. You push mirrors and you push laminated. And as I sent you in the outline, mirrors are old, and kind of like a battle. Laminated is new and hot and everybody wants it. What is it like on a day-to-day basis, pushing two products that probably couldn't be any more different right now?
Well, it keeps it interesting. They're very, very far on the spectrum, one from the other. But mirror is great. People will never stop being interested in looking at themselves. So it's a very stable, secure market, and the residential industry is gone gangbusters right now, and our mirror sales have been fantastic. Our mirror plant is running great right now, obviously better than what I've seen, but I think they've got that thing dialed in, and we're putting out record volumes, and the mirror side of the business is great. Not as much change and innovation with mirror as there is with laminated, but I've got that side on the laminated side too. It's such a great product for innovation in glass right now, and we're working. We kind of introduced ourselves in the industry doing handrails, canopies, fabricated glass. We started with a great team of people that really have focused and dialed in their operation to fabricate glass. So laminated was a good extension of that, but we've got so many different directions that we can go in the future with the decorative, switchable. There's just, we're structural glass. There's just a lot of cool options out there. So the future in terms of laminated glass is huge. We can go any number of directions. So yeah, it's pretty exciting to have both ends of that.
No doubt. And I'll give a shout out to Rodney Keats, who is the head of production down there, who is talk about caring about every single piece that goes through a plant. That would be Rodney. So and no doubt the folks, everyone down there that I've met have been the same way. Now, James, on your side of the ball, Virginia Glass Products side of the ball, lots of strengths there. Virginia's known for their all glass entrances, and it's a monolithic tempered sort of player. What's got you going down there? I mean, there's a lot of good things happening on the VGP side.
Yeah, no, it's been great stepping into a company that's with the experience that we have here. Some of the folks with 20 plus years experience with the same company here. This summer, we're celebrating 65 years of fabricating. So we have a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge. Our customer service, it's top of the line. Our estimators are getting bids out by the bid date, but they're also tackling the tough ones. And those quotes, with our estimators, with their experience, they're able to pick up the difficulty, quotes and be able to dissect them and then call the customer. So the customer service side of those estimators is top notch. Just because they know what's important. They know to communicate with the customers. The customers can communicate and catch them. You know, you don't call them and get a voicemail. You get a person. And when you email, you get an email back. So Jeremy and I, we're lucky. We're fortunate that we got a good support team here, and our outside sales team. I'm so proud of them. They have been traveling since this, pretty much this whole shutdown. The first 3 months, everybody was kind of shut down. Everybody was home. But since June and July, we've been out seeing customers, the ones that would allow us in.
Right.
And that's been a majority of them, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And some of our competitors, we're hearing that since maybe back in December, they still weren't out seeing customers in person.
Right.
And we know this is sales is a relationship game, and get in front of customers is drilled in me when I was in sales. And so I'm trying to encourage our folks, be safe, of course, but get in front of the customer, and then that's gonna pay dividends, I believe, this year.
No doubt. And I think the one thing you hit on that has been a big piece for me has been the communication side. It's just so crucial to get ahead of things, at every level, whether it's a lead time situation where it's going to be a delay, or whether, like you said, an estimator might see something in a takeoff and say, wait, this isn't good. This isn't going to work. The size is too big for this thickness of glass, or, this hole won't work here, that sort of thing. There's a big value into that extra level of communication now more than ever, because people are short-staffed, probably not as efficient as they need to be. So when you have, that communication level that you guys are doing, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
No doubt. So things are going well for the most part. It's nice to hear, these positives, because I'm always shooting for positives wherever I can. Especially Jeremy, you mentioning about the mirrors and residential. I didn't even, I'm so commercially baked that I didn't even associate the busyness on the residential side to what you've got going on the mirror side. So that's exciting. How is the rest of the year, 2021 looking, and what are you guys, feeling for, the rest of this year and into next year? What's the vibe?
Well, yeah, we've come out of the gate really strong on mirror, and it's exciting. We're looking for ways to get more capacity out of the plant, produce more. So it's great to be in that kind of position. Our laminated business, we're just working on that, still kind of coming up from brand new startup in August of last year. So we're growing in that, and the rest of the year is continuing to build our reputation in the industry as a solid laminated glass supplier. And then looking for those new opportunities. There might be a good opportunity to invest in some equipment and go in a new direction, offer a new product in laminated glass. So, it's kind of wide open, and we're just going after it, and excited to see where it takes us.
No doubt. And James, you seeing the same thing, or what are you seeing on your side of the ball?
I am. I see it. I know you mentioned before, the industry is going to be like a donut.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to disagree with you, but I think more maybe like a slice of pizza, where we're getting that corner. You start at the triangle there in the tip of it, and we're going to get into it. I really believe we're going to see it take off. We're already seeing, our second quarter maybe looking a little better than our first quarter. So we're seeing that the ramp up, which we're excited about.
Good. I like it. Well, that's what we need. And need good things, and need folks like you. You both who bring some youth and some energy to this industry to be able to keep us moving. You're both at a 100-year-old company, but a good, long, healthy road in front of the both of you. So that's pretty exciting. And I hope, I assume I'll see you both at Glass Build. James, I know you never miss, but Jeremy, I think the last time I saw you in person was at a Glass Build, right?
Yeah. Looking forward to doing it again.
Wonderful.
Mask or no mask, we'll be there.
Well, I look forward to seeing you guys in September, and I can't let you guys go without what Jeremy said, that he cut his own hair during the pandemic. Now that hair looks too good. You did not do any damage to your hair.
Yeah, it's a pretty complicated cut. I only trust it to specialized people. So
Same.
Yeah.
The
Floby.
Yeah, I love it, Floby. I love it. Well, it looks good, guys. Thank you so much for spending some time with me on the From the Fabricator podcast, and obviously, good things ahead for the both of you. It sounds like great things ahead for Virginia Glass Products, Virginia Mere Company. It sounds like a neat marriage of your youth, their legacy, good products, and so on. So that has me excited because the better we are as an industry and the better companies can be, it lifts everyone up, and that's good stuff. So thank you so much for being with me.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us, Max. You keep doing what you do. You do so much good for this industry. Don't edit that part out because I know you don't like the compliments, but you do so much for this industry. So keep it up. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. It means a lot, and we will see you guys in September. Thank you.
Thanks.
See ya.
Okay, so fantastic interviews, and thank you so much to all my guests today. Just thrilled that they would join me, and thrilled that so far everybody that has joined me and everybody I have lined up, which is pretty exciting. I appreciate all of that. And speaking of the people I have lined up, next month you will probably get to meet Stevie P, my brother that I mentioned, I think 17 times per podcast. He is going to be one of my guests. I am not telling him what I'm asking him either. I think I have some really interesting questions lined up for him and cannot wait to ask him these. He is a trip, the best. So you will enjoy that. That is next month on the From the Fabricator podcast. Before we wrap up today, two things. One, documentaries. You know me. I'm into these right now, and there are three fantastic ones. One I wrote about on my blog, Operation Varsity Blues, about the college recruiting scandal. Netflix, fantastic watch, frustrating, mad. The emotions will flow. You got to watch it. It's something to see how people who have everything, money to burn, basically blow it based on status. It's stunning to me, but a great documentary. White Boy, about White Boy Rick. That might be a little bit too Detroit centric. I'm a Detroit guy, but a really interesting documentary about a young guy who got in trouble and has been suffering since. And it looks like there might be some police corruption, some government corruption along the way in the city of Detroit. A good watch. White Boy Rick is one of those legendary characters in Michigan on the drug dealing trade. And this documentary really got deep into it. Well done. Also Netflix. Last, on Hulu, a WeWork documentary. It's called WeWork. I think there's a secondary title, but if you look up WeWork, you can find it. Is about that office sharing prospect that was gigantic a couple years ago, was to the moon. And that one also will get the blood flowing a little bit from frustration to see the way that the CEO walked away. Very, very whole, extremely whole compared to a lot of his folks. So definitely three that you want to have on your list to check out documentary wise. Let me know what you think. And please feel free to share things that you might like and you may think I like. Send them my way. I would appreciate that. Last, it is coming up on summer vacation time. I hope everybody is slowly but surely getting back to normal. That is the hope that I have, obviously. And hopefully, if you do have a chance to vacation, do it safe, do it right, and get ready. We are pushing to get back to normalcy. NGA will be having their glass conference. I think there is going to be a portion in person, and Glass Build, full speed ahead, in person, in Atlanta. It's a must. This is the time we all can get back together. I just got my first shot. I'll be getting my second one here in a couple of weeks. And I hope, if you choose to get your shot, go for it. And if you don't, keep doing the right thing, living the right way, but get to the ATL this September for Glass Build. Warning you now, you're going to hear a lot about it, but it is, aside from my personal love for it, it's an important event. It's an important event for you personally, for your companies, and for this industry. All right, that will wrap things up. We will see you next month. We have a great show. I've already kind of given you a heads up on one guest. We've got a few others. It is going to be something. I appreciate you, though, watching today. Any feedback, please send it my way, and we will see you in May.
Oh, the music is stopped.